Hello there. Welcome to episode 11 of my new player guide to retail World of Warcraft. My name is Yogurt, and I am your host this evening, or this morning, or this afternoon. Today, we're going to log into our rogue for the first time this week. Last time, we scrambled to try and get a +2 completed in time for the weekly reset last Tuesday, and we failed both +2s that we tried to complete, which further reinforces the earlier in the week that you do things, the better off you are. But we had some fun, and we learned a few things. So we just logged in, and first thing I guess that we'll talk about today is when you log out in a key, you'll log back in basically at the start of it. So for those that didn't watch the last episode, we didn't bail. We tried our hardest to get through the key, but we just ran out of time before the weekly reset. So we're going to Hearth to Dornegal, and we did manage to complete a few things. So using our vault macro there, you can see we have unclaimed loot from the Great Vault. So we're going to go and take a look at it. We might not necessarily claim it, but we're going to go and see what we got. And so this is a really good time to talk about loot specialization. So in World of Warcraft, I mentioned that you have your different talent specializations. For Rogue, we have 3 DPS specializations. We have Assassination, Subtlety, and Outlaw. All 3 of those are DPS or damage dealing specializations. But other classes can have healer specializations or tank specializations. So before you go to the Great Vault each week, you want to just double check and make sure that you're in the right specialization, because the loot that is presented to you will be generated based off of the spec that you have set there. Cool, we made a little bit of money too. We put some stuff up on the auction house last time. We were able to sell some EOE pants for about 4K, which is great. And even with DPS specializations, there's some nuance there. So the weapons that are generated will be based on your DPS specialization. So for Rogue, I want to make sure that my specialization is set to Outlaw. There's also an option to be, to keep it at your current specialization. So if you're new and you're really sticking to one spec, learning it from the very get-go, you can just keep this as is. With Rogue, for example, Outlaw is going to give me weapons and trinkets that are for Outlaw. Trinkets, that doesn't really count. We're going to get all melee DPS trinkets. But weapons, Outlaw Rogue needs to have not a dagger in the main hand, whereas the other specializations prioritize daggers in the main hand. So if you open your chest with Assassination, there's a good chance that you will get there's a chance you'll get a dagger. You won't see the other weapon types. This applies to a couple other classes that have some nuance. For example, Fury Warrior has a talent called Single-Minded Fury, which allows them, instead of wielding two-handed weapons, to wield 2 one-handed weapons. So if you are looking specifically for two-handers as a warrior, you want to make sure that your loot specialization is set to arms to guarantee that you'll get a two-hander out of your vault. Kind of the same thing goes with Death Knight DPS. So if you're spec'd into Frost, there's a chance to get one-handers. Frost typically prefers 2 one-handed weapons. If you're spec'd into Unholy, you'll just get two-handers, which you can use for Frost, but it just prefers the other one. So I'm just going to set mine to Outlaw because I'm pretty sure that's just permanently what we're going to play on this character. And I walked into the bank, and at the far back end is this big door called the Great Vault. When you click it, it's going to generate loot based off of your specialization. And we didn't do too much last time. We did some We did some time walking dungeons, which we might do tonight, and then we did some open world content. So we only got a couple slots, and it's all veteran gear, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we did get a piece of tier, so we'll probably end up taking that just to take it and get that slot going. So tier sets are something that I mentioned in the last video and in my endgame gearing guide video. Tier sets are basically equipment. It can be in the helmet, shoulders, chest, legs, and glove slots. And assembling multiple pieces of this tier set will grant you bonuses at 2 pieces and 4 pieces. So one of our biggest priorities is to get that 4 piece pretty much as quickly as we can. And there's multiple ways to do that. So one of the ways is to go into the raid and loot the gear for the specific slot. The other way is through this great vault. And then the third way, which I didn't get to in any of my videos yet, is to go over to the creation catalyst. So I talked about crafting gear in many of my videos, but I haven't really talked about the catalyst yet, and I'll go over to that now. I just took those gloves and I equipped them because that's going to be the best thing. I'm just going to turn in this Great Vault quest for a little bit of gold. But in the War Within, the catalyst is located right down here. There's actually a quest to get you started that talks about the catalyst. So it's called the Power of Creation. When you complete it, it grants you access to the catalyst, which is right next to this guy. And what you can do here is put in a piece of this season's gear and turn it into a tier piece if it's for the respective slot. So if you put a helmet in, you'll get a piece of helmet tier, shoulders, chest, or legs. And then you can also complete transmog by putting in the off pieces as well. So you generate catalyst charges throughout the expansion when you hit 2000 rating in Mythic Plus, or you beat the raid on the heroic difficulty, you'll get an extra charge, or if you PvP. And basically you'll accumulate. So 1 week you'll get a spark to craft a piece of gear, and the next week you'll get a catalyst charge. And for a little while it was both on the same week, but they kind of reset that balance with this patch. So 1 week at the start of the season you'll get a crafted piece, the next week you'll get a catalyst charge, the next week you'll get a crafted piece. So you're always, the start of the season is really great for gearing up because you're always going to be getting something. So using catalyst charges at this point in the season, catalyst does cap out at 8. I wish I had a single piece of gear to put in here to just show you. There'll be a little number down here that will be the number 8. That's where it caps at. And you want to, you want to use them however you want to use them. I like to collect transmog, so I like to make sure I never really hit the cap. I'm always transmogging something. So like what I mean by that is there are different, the set appearances come in different difficulties, so you can utilize your catalyst charges to collect some of these difficulties, even if you, or some of these variants, even if you don't have even if you don't need the piece of gear. Ultimately, if you're just gearing up, you always want to catalyze your highest piece of gear. So like we would want to catalyze a heroic piece of gear in our chest, shoulder, helmet, or leg slot, or our glove slot if we have it in all the other places, so that we can get the highest level of gear. So because we have 8 catalyst charges, I'm not really too worried about it. We're going to use these pretty freely. But what we want to do is try and get some more tier pieces. And the best way to get those, well, a way to get those is through the LFR variation of the raid difficulty. So that's our goal today, is to just get in there. We just need to get 4 more item level to reach, to be able to queue for that. So we can do that in a couple of different ways. Turbulent Time Ways is still active, so I'm going to do that.
Stay productive.
We also have a weekly quest for delves. We still have the weekly quest for the
Don't give in to fear.
We still have the weekly quest to do the theater troupe, which will be up in a little bit. So Call to Delves will give us a Cache of Delver's Spoils, 636 item level. And then doing the time walking dungeons will give us a heroic raid piece, 649. And then doing Delves Worldwide Research will give us another pinnacle cache. So pretty good. Piece of normal gear, potentially 2 pieces of normal gear. We can level our Delves up a little bit. But what I really, really want to get is the heroic piece from time walking. I tried to do that at the end last time as well. And that didn't really work out for us. So I'm going to queue up for random dungeon time walking, and we're going to see what that queue time looks like. It's 11 minutes. It's pretty chunky. So the next thing that we're going to do is just take a look at our world quests. So this right here is the world quest lists add-on. I'll stop flying around so that we can look at it. And it will show you world quest rewards that are available. And we have some boots that are an upgrade, so we might go get those. And then it just so happens that that's on the way down to Hallowfall, which is where we can do the Nightfall incursion, which would be a source of champion gear. Now, what I might want to do, because that awards a token, like I did last time, I got this weapon because it awarded me a token. I will probably hold on to that token a little bit, because a small, tiny thing that you can do to kind of min max your gear a little bit is spending it wisely. So this token will allow me to choose a piece of champion track gear. So what I want to do is wait until I complete the LFR, looking for raid difficulty of the raid, kill all the bosses, and see what I get. If I get a tier token for my helmet and my shoulders, then I can easily go in and get and buy a chest piece from this vendor that would be champion level, and then catalyze that, no problem. I also need to repair my gear, so we're gonna try and do that. See if there's somebody over here that can repair our gear. Oh shoot! Be right back. That was hilariously unfortunate. I spilled water across the entirety of my desk while I was flying over here. Thankfully, we didn't miss any queue times, and it was just water. All right, so looking for a repairman. Find one. And you can leverage your map for the most part to track everything that you might need. Looks like repairs aren't on here. I swear they used to be. So we'll poke around, see if there are any smithies, innkeeper, laborers, farmers, shipwright. Yes. There we go. Dog found an ice cube, fell on the ground. Okay. Back at it again. So our gear is repaired. Desk is dry. We're headed over to this world quest. And so trying to keep an eye on a couple of things right now. One, we're queued up for those dungeons, those classic time walking dungeons, which is kind of unfortunate because classic time walking is a little bit lengthy. It's not the quickest thing in terms of completing the dungeons, but we'll see. So we're going to join in this one. And because I'm not pressed for time quite as much this time, we'll walk you through what you can expect from some of these dungeons. Looks like we got a gentleman who's gearing up as monk. Reminded me, of course, we jumped right into this dungeon, and I still haven't set up my talents yet for dungeoning. So we'll do that. This is a classic dungeon called Dire Mall. Dire Mall is broken down into a couple parts, but it's been a long time since I've been here, so I don't remember exactly what they are. I know that on one of them you can, I think, just jump down to the bottom, but we're just doing, just like I said before, following along with our tank, just trying to contribute what we can, looking for things like casters, trying to focus on big priority targets, trying to kick what we can. I don't know why I'm tanking now, but I am. Classic dungeons often have mechanics that will like stun or disrupt your tank, so find yourself tanking every so often. I thought you could just jump down into the bottom there. Yeah, I think there's definitely some skips here for sure. I'm pretty positive that you can skip this guy in his entirety. But maybe not. Oh, please heal me. Oh, please heal me. Any healers? Okay. There are poisons on here. Turn some music back on too. I gotta turn that sound effect off. Oh boy, howdy do I. Hey, we got boots. Wait, they're item level 610? Oh my god, they're better than our World Quest boots. We don't have to do that. It's a 603. Hey, 610 gear is not too bad. Um, okay, most of the classic bosses are pretty much just one and done. Not much in terms of mechanics that you really need to worry about. Yeah, so this is just down below where we hopped in. So normally what you would do in this dungeon is you would come in with a group and you would jump down. You don't need to kill the first boss to finish the time walking portion. You would come in straight from the entrance, you would jump down, and you would land right over here, somewhere in this area, close to this side of the dungeon, run backwards through these trees, in through, go and kill Hydrospawn and Zevrim, and then you can come back here, talk to this tree, and he'll let you into the other door to kill the final boss. So just a quick skip. But not everybody knows about that one. It's not the um, most obvious by any means. And this is exactly what I mean about classic dungeons taking a little bit longer. I'm sure you saw with our previous dungeon that everything went, or our previous time walking dungeons, everything went pretty smoothly. Here's another skip that's possible for you. You could just run in here, climb up on the wall, and drop down to the final boss. And I will show you how to do that one because we're a rogue and we won't die. But you just come up here, and I think you can jump on this rock, or you can just, as they do, you can dive onto this little thing and then just drop down and start fighting the boss there. And I'm dead. I don't even know why I died. We can talk about death recaps though. I don't know why I died, is what I said. And what you can do is when you are dead, is you can click this little button here that says recap. Um, and it'll tell you the abilities that happened right before you die that resulted in your death, along with like a little timer. So you can see this one happened 1 second before. So I cast Killing Spree on the boss while he had a Thorn's ability up. So I killed myself. That's how I died, which is actually hilarious. Let's see if we get resurrected here or not by the druid. Go. Yep, he is. It's pretty common habit that you'll see folks will just kind of leave after a dungeon like this. One of the Yeah, I got boots again. One of the most common critiques that you'll see on some of the forums or the WoW subreddit is that, oh, nobody in dungeons talks, and that's true. Um, Especially in content like this, you will have conversations with people in Mythic Plus dungeons. Sometimes as it relates to like strategy and stuff like that. But for the most part, nobody talks in dungeons that are trivial like that, and that's totally okay. Um, where you will find most of the conversation as it relates to retail World of Warcraft is in a guild and in the guild's Discord. Um, Much like many other games, conversation has moved. It still takes place. It's just moved. It doesn't happen in general chat. It happens over microphones in a Discord with your guild members who are running the same types of content that you like to run. So my biggest recommendation, if you're feeling a little alone in this game, is to find a guild, or maybe I'll start a Discord. We'll see. While I was over here, I no longer need these boots, so we're not going to do that world quest. However, I noticed that this world boss, the quest reward for this is 1,000 gold, and we need money. We like gold. So over here on the right, when you get close to a world quest, it'll start tracking it. Might be hard to see because I'm tracking about a bajillion quests. But there's a little button that'll pop up that is this eye, and it will show you groups that are forming for this world boss. So you can click that eye, queue into the group, and you will be matched with their shard. And I spent either too long talking about it and they killed it. Yeah, I think that's what happened. So I'm just going to leave the group. It's going to phase me back to where I was before. This guy's just going to go and try and kill it. Are you? Yeah, no, he's gonna kill you, bud. Holy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and click on this eye again, so that I can join it. But for some reason, it's not letting me click on the eye unless I get it in the right spot. So we'll just find a different group for that one. We're just letting the group form up a little bit. You can see the raid group in the right. We'll just wait. They pulled. All you need to do with the world boss is really tag it. So You should get in there and help out for sure. All right, let's get in there. Oh, of course. And world bosses can also give you loot. I don't actually know. Yeah, it gives you season one loot. It is 603 item level, so I'm just looting a bunch of boots today, I guess. But um, we're gonna just open up that hell collar chest, and we're getting close to the top of the hour, so we got 7 minutes until this nightfall incursion starts, which is really unfortunate because really want to just be spending time doing time walking to get that heroic piece. So we can get a champion piece. So we'll queue up. We'll see how it all kind of shakes out. It did take a little bit. It took about 5 minutes to get the queue. It's going to take longer than 2 minutes to run it, but could be a quick dungeon. So we'll see. So we got 1,000 gold from that world boss. Now you saw that world boss dropped gear from season one. Every time they introduce a new zone in every season, there is a new world boss. So we can another quick thing to do for loot is to just go over to the Gobfather in the Undermine, and we can absolutely continue to do this quest line as well. And that he will drop guaranteed war bound loot. So it might not necessarily be for your class. It will be a piece from his loot pool that can be used on any character. So if we go Shift J and under raids, Kazalgar, these are where all the world bosses are. This is the Gobfather, and his loot pool is right here. So you can get any one of these items. Cloth and mail are included. There's two pieces that are leather. There's a leather chest piece and a leather belt. Obviously, we don't need a belt because we have our disc belt. And then he also drops a necklace. So we'll definitely go and do this. That's another piece of champion gear. Again, this can work with what we're doing here. Collecting this token. If we get super lucky, we could get a champion chest piece, catalyze that, get our 2 piece tier set, and use this token on helm or shoulders or legs. Or we could get a necklace, which would just be a nice upgrade to the champion track. So we're going to go over here and the Nightfall scenario. We're going to accept the Flame Blade, the Flame Burns Eternal, which is going to give us that Radiant Service Satchel. Again, that gives us a currency that we can use on this vendor or this vendor to give us a piece of a trinket or a necklace, or if we want to, a piece of armor. So this would be a champion chest piece or champion shoulders. You can do this once per week. And then these quests, the Sareki incursions, these are dailies that will give you a random piece of veteran gear. So we're going to pick these up too because we have some time to kill while we wait for our time walking queue. And this is a great way to continue to get some gear. Luckily, these are within the zone. Occasionally, these dailies will rotate every day, and some of them take you down into Ashkat, which we don't want to go to right now. But this will give us a simple fill the bar quest. I'll open my quest back up here. I'll try and reduce some. This is our weekly quest. Looks like some other folks are doing this too, so we're just going to kind of tag what we can. Oh, there's so many things to talk about now that we're at endgame. we'll keep getting to it. That's for sure. But the most important thing for us, because our time is going to be limited in getting 3K Raider IO score and ahead of the curve, our main thing for us is just trying to gear up so that our next weekly vault has a couple of heroic options for us to really give us a boost. I think, given the time constraint, the fact that the season ends on the 5th, we're going to be making a pretty big push at the end to make this meme a dream, or this dream a reality. So most of what we're going to be doing is going to be grinding to level up our heroic gear. And that's just going to mean we're going to do a lot of dungeons. A lot of dungeons. But we can get some help if we get a good vault for next week. Next week will be our last vault, so any dungeons that you do before the season launches. Actually, I think you will get one more on the 5th, but it'll be from season 2, and we'll be moving into season 3 at that point. So these quests also, they have different, they started from that guy back over here, but they are actually, their turn-ins are closer to where the quests are. So the incursion is going to start in about a minute. We don't need to be there to participate the whole time. So what we're actually going to do is just keep doing these quests, and we're going to leave the dungeon finder queue for classic time walking. And we're going to go do this quest, and then we're going to go back. And by that time, the incursion takes about 15 minutes. So by that time, we should be a little bit closer on the incursion timeline. And we're going to outgrow this overworld gear pretty quick. And of course, I just dove right back into it, and I haven't fixed any of the things that I said that I was going to fix. So let's open our weak auras. Fix that raid horn. Again, we're going to follow the different little sound notifications. We're going to go into custom options, and we're going to look for air horn. We're going to say don't allow audio. It's going to turn off that air horn that I've had running for a very long time. And then I'm also going to make some changes to our um, talent specialization. So I mentioned this in, just going to stealth real quick. I mentioned this in my gearing up video, but I'll show you how to do this now. Let me just grab. Figure out how to do that a little bit better. So I just went to raider.io. This is my preferred way to find builds for dungeons, you should go to Warcraft logs to find what people are using on raid boss fights. But we're primarily going to be doing dungeons. Holy smoke, Tom Elvis got 4K IO. That's huge. Um, and so we go to raider.io under the Mythic Plus drop down menu. I click spec leaderboards, and then you can find which spec you play. Rogue, I picked Outlaw. That brought me here. It'll show you the folks that have the highest dungeon um, score, Mythic Plus score, and we're going to take it a couple steps further. We're going to open up Tom Elvis and WoW Toxic and click on their different profiles, and you can find a bunch of really great info here, what gear they're using, what trinkets, weapons. You can see here, this is how I learned about the Nightfall Curse Blades Cudgel. They're even at 4K Raider IO score, Mythic Plus score. They're still using this champion blade. They have it enchanted with Authority of Radiant Power. Um, so we're going to mimic essentially what this guy's got going on. We can see the second highest person, the same thing here. And we can look at talents. Now you'll be able to see their talent build over here, but I'm nearly positive that it will show you the talent build that they last logged out in. Now these guys are just churning Mythic Plus at this point, so this is probably the talent build that they're using. But there can be some variation between talent builds based on each dungeon that you do. Um, so another way that you can take a look is to go down into their specific dungeon runs, and you can take a look at some recent dungeon runs. So this one, this two chested plus 21 Dark Flame Cleft. You can click, they did it 5 hours ago. You can open up on Tom Elvis. You can click on the talent calculator and you can see what he's using. So I'm just clicking this talent calculator here. And I'm also just going to click the talent calculator here, and this was the one from his main profile. This is the one that he used from that plus 21 Dark Flame. And you can see there are some minor changes on what he logged out in, which is this one, and what he was playing in that dungeon. But it really is only 2 talent points. It's Cheat Death versus Elusiveness, and it's Mirrors versus Smoke. Um, so I'm just going to click on load and export builds. I'm going to grab the one that has cheat death. And I'm just going to say share, copy to clipboard, and then I'm going to flip back over into WoW. And I'm going to open up my talents by pressing N. And then down in the bottom left, I'm going to hit this drop down under loadout. And I'm going to click import. And I'm going to paste what I just copied from the Wowhead talent calculator. And there's some things that you should know. So right here, I'm going to put Mythic Plus, and there's some things that you should know. So this um, huge change from my open world builds, right? This is going to emphasize area of effect damage. It's going to emphasize survivability. It's going to emphasize dungeon utility. So we have things like AOE blind to disrupt our enemies. We have all sorts of stuff here. Um, there's also some important things to know. I just went and copied a build from a guy who is doing plus 21 E levels. There's some nuance to that. I'm not doing plus 21 key levels. I'm going to be trying to do plus twos to start and plus sixes. And I'm going to end by doing plus 12s. So there's a lot of leeway there in terms of what you actually need in order to succeed. And there's also some nuance to the builds themselves. There are some um, builds that will, and some specs that will change their talents the higher the key level goes, because the trash mobs and the dungeon bosses will live longer, and they can do more damage. Moonkin, for example, um, or any of the dot classes tend to do a little bit better in hierarchies because those classes will the enemies will live long enough for those classes to do their full amount of damage through their damage over time abilities. Whereas in some +2 dungeons, your gear will be so overwhelmingly powerful that those enemies will die um, before their dots even have by the time you dot up everything. So there's a little bit of nuance to that. You might not necessarily need. I mean, you might not need cheat death at all in a +2. I think as a new player, it's probably good to have, but you could probably get away with elusiveness. Um, Whereas elusiveness definitely going to have some extra power in dungeons with heavy AOE damage. So evasion also reduces damage taken by 20%, and feint also reduces non-area of effect damage taken by 20%. So this adds more survivability to your existing evasion cooldown and to your feint cooldown so that it is a damage decrease on single target damage. That can be useful in Dark Flame Cleft because there are certain bosses that will put abilities on you, and it can be useful at that high key level because those abilities will tick very hard. They'll do a lot of damage. So that could be a reason why he's choosing that over cheat death. We don't need that in a +12. We don't need that level of nuance. But we are just going to um, start with that build, use it as a jumping off point. So that build changed a couple things about the way we do business. It made it so that when we press Blade Flurry, it actually generates combo points. So it strikes 3 additional enemies and its duration is increased by 3 seconds. Blade Flurry's initial damage is increased by 100%, generates 1 combo point per target struck. So that really changes our rotation um, a little bit in terms of like now when I have 3 enemies in front of me and I press Blade Flurry, it does more upfront damage and I generate combo points to then use on spenders. And it feeds into that positive feedback loop with Outlaw Rogue in that I will my cooldowns will get reduced the more combo points I spend. So Blade Flurry spends generates combo points, which I then spend, reducing the cooldown of Blade Flurry. So it just helps with that loop. But I need to stop talking, finish these quests, and get back over to that incursion before it ends because it only happens once per hour, and I don't want to be doing that the whole time. I want to get that token so that I can save it and use it. So it's time to kill. Six. Now, it also means that we don't want to use Blade Flurry when it's going to, well, we always want to be doing AoE damage, but we don't want to be using Blade Flurry when it's going to overcap us too much on talent points. So, again, a little bit more nuance to the abilities and the balance there. So, all right, crunch time. We're going to drop in this quest. Where'd they go? They're over here. Complete. And we're going to scoot back over to the incursion. While we're doing that, we're going to open some bags. So this is the loot. Oh my God, it's boot day. This is the loot that we got from completing the daily incursion. So towards veteran gear, which is the same as LFR difficulty. So this is going to be a nice big boost to us. 16 item levels on boots. We got a belt that's useless to us. And we got pants. So that's big upgrade on the pants. It's going to bring us to 606 item level, which is right where we want to be for the looking for raid difficulty. And we also got a cosmetic back piece. That's cool. Also got some transmog pieces. So each one of these unlocks transmog related to the Nightfall. So this cool purple set. And yeah, it looks like we're just plugging away over here. And so with this Nightfall incursion, you can get these it's an open world scenario, so overall we're trying to get this bar up to a certain level, but you also will get your own bar to increase as you progress through. And at certain breakpoints you'll get a little coffer which will have some items inside, some valor stones. So we do want to participate. We want to be killing things along with folks. We want to be completing these objectives, but even just killing stuff in the area, you will fill up the bar. So we just hit that first level there. We got the green box. Now, um, if you continue to kill stuff, you'll keep filling it up. You'll get a purple or a blue box, and then a purple box, and that had gold, resonance crystals, weathered crests, and 14 valor stones. We like gold. We need gold right now. Why do we need gold? We need gold for our crafted gear because we need to buy the required items. All right, this is the last one here. Hopefully we'll get enough from this we'll definitely get the blue box. I think he gives about 30%. Wonder if there's anything we can kill around here. Oh, that's okay. But this Sareki champion is um the final boss of the incursion. Um, so one thing you'll notice that changed about our weak aura here that's telling us about roll the bones, when to push things, is we added a new ability. It's down here at the bottom. It's called Keep It Rolling. Increase the remaining duration of your active roll the bones combat enhancements by 30 seconds. This essentially allows us to keep it rolling. We get a good roll. We can keep it going, and then we can add to it as well. And now we're gonna re-queue up. So I'm gonna hit I and go to our time walking dungeon. We're gonna queue back up for that as well. Because we're at the end of this incursion, which means that we're done here. Sweet. We got a veteran chess piece just from the boss there, which is great. And then we got the champion spoils, which gave us another veteran trinket. So that's 10 item levels on that trinket. And we got a chess piece. So now we're 609 item level. And we're going to walk over here. And we're going to turn in Flamebird's Eternal. It's going to give us another bag, which gives us that emblem. And then we're going to turn in the quest to do one of the world quests. And then because we leveled up a little bit with the quartermaster, we can get some resonance crystals. Nothing major. See what they have for sale. Nothing really. So now we are just looking to, oh my God, average wait time 17 minutes. We are just looking to continue along with those time walking dungeons. Now we are 606 item level. So once you hit 606 item level, you got a couple options. What to do at 606. So 606 item level will allow you to queue up for LFR. My recommendation would be, if this is, your start to the week and you've got stuff to do, anything you can do to get heroic gear should be the priority, because you're going to want to base all of your other decisions off of that. So what I mean by that is, if we complete our time walking dungeons, we get a heroic box, and that has a heroic chess piece in it. I'm going to want to catalyze that chess piece into tier, and I'm going to want to look for alternative opportunities to use any tokens that I have. So get the heroic box first. You also want to queue up for LFR. When we get into LFR, I'll kind of show you what that looks like. We could just queue up for it, and we'll do anything in the order that it comes. So I'm going to queue up for all of the different wings of LFR, and we'll look at the loot that comes from that. And this will probably be how we spend the rest of our evening. So if we look at the loot, Shift J to open that up, and we go to raids, and we go to Liberation of Undermine. The first wing is Cauldron of Carnage and Rick Reverb, so it's the second and third bosses. And you can see here they drop regular gear like weapons and belts and rings, and then they also drop the tier tokens. So there's a group of 25 people that you're doing LFR with, or 30, and anybody that meets these class requirements, warrior, rogue, monk, or evoker, can roll on these. About one of them drops per boss, sometimes two. So there's a chance that we go through all of these and we don't see any Zenith tier tokens. So Cauldron of Carnage drops the hands. Well, we already have veteran tier hands, so we don't really care about that. But Rick Reverb drops the shoulders. Sticks Bunk Junker drops the legs. And Sprocket Monger drops the chest piece, and then One Arm Bandit drops the head. So these are the bosses that we want to prioritize here. They are basically the middle, the first three here. So Shock and Awesome, the wing has Cauldron of Carnage and Rick Reverb. We want Rick Reverb. Maniacal Machinist has Styx Bunk Junker and Sprocket Monger. We want tier from both of those. And then Two Heads Are Better has us go to the first boss, Vexy, and then you run through the casino to do the One Arm Bandit and Muggsy. Or One Arm Bandit also has House of Cards, which is a relatively good trinket for a lot of classes. Looking at the rogue with 4,000 Mythic Plus score, he is wearing the Mythic House of Cards. He's also wearing the Junk Maestro's Mega Magnet. There's other ways to get those trinkets too. So we're going to join here into this LFR wing. That's what popped up for us first. It just happens to be starting us on, looks like two heads or better is the wing. Looks like they've already killed Vexy and they're on their way to one arm bandit and Mugsy, which is actually good for us because Vexy's gear doesn't have any tier pieces. It doesn't have anything that's like super good. Could give us a piece of shoulder or a shoulder item that we could catalyze. Um, but it's got boots, which we would probably get. So this is great. We're actually going to run straight to one arm bandit and then Mugsy. It ports you in here. This is you'll recognize this. The raid map is essentially the entire map of the Undermine. You'll see here, very, very similar. Um, Except in this case, it has been taken over and is kind of like under siege. So we start at the Incontinental Hotel. You can walk up to Paula to just unlock the Galagio Loyalty Rewards Club. This is a renowned track within the raid and something new that they are trying this expansion. And in my opinion, it's great. As you go through each week, kill bosses, you'll unlock reputation, which will give you different perks. Some of these perks can include damage increases. What did it just teleport me? Oh yeah, watch the cinematic. I'll talk about that when we walk over there. Um, they'll unlock different features that are up here, like the auction house, bank, repairs, stuff like that. So, and transmog, which is everybody's favorite thing. So, when you first come in here, if you do the raid on normal difficulty or LFR, it's going to really basically drop you here for most wings, with the exception of the last boss, because this is a really open raid layout. So right in front of you, right when you start, is Vexy and the Gear Grinders. There's going to be one trash pull before you get in there. If you start with the first wing, which is Shock and Awesome, Vexy won't be there. You'll just walk up to Cauldron and then you'll walk over to Rick. If you start with Maniacal Machinist, you'll walk down to Six Bunk Junker and then you'll walk over to Sprocket Monger. Just follow the group in that regard. And then if you start here with two heads or better than one, it's going to start you here killing Vexy, and then you walk into the Galagio Casino to go to the next two bosses. So we're going to catch up with our group here. And you can ride your hot rod in here, although it's kind of a pain because as soon as you get into combat, it will pop you off that mount. But and then we're going inside the casino anyways, so it's like there's a gunner here. We're just gonna stealth. I don't know what he's up to. But you just walk into the casino, go to the left, and you'll see all these guys scrambling around. Um, you just head on through, pull some trash, and then you're working your way towards this high roller suite at the end. So we're just going to dive in and help out where we can here. And we'll talk about the raid bosses a little bit. This is not going to be like a raid guide. So I'll talk about some of the preliminary videos, but there are plenty of raid guides out there. Honestly, you really won't need to know anything for LFR. People can pretty much carry you through there, and you can just work on just trying to observe and understand all the different things that are happening, because I know there's a lot. There is a WeakAura pack that will help you. It requires a little bit of setup, but the Race to World First and World First Guild Liquid um, produces a pack every year or every tier after they defeat the final boss. They'll release it to the public. That's the one that most people use. You can find that by going to wago.io and searching liquid in the top search bar. Everybody just left me here with this dealer all by myself, so I'm going to scoot along. And if you type in liquid on wago.io, the first thing that you're going to see is Liquid Liberation of Undermine, sponsored by Coinbase. here you can see we got a little bit of that reputation for our warband. And we're just following the group here. We're heading into One Arm Bandit. Well, the music in here is a little bit much. Now, what I should be doing here is changing my talent specialization. In LFR, you don't have to do it on a boss by boss basis, but a lot of these talents that we picked up, like the Blade Flurry one, they're built for AoE. They're not going to be super useful when it comes to single target, which is what most raid fights are. I don't actually know why this guy keeps punching us back in. We didn't pull the boss. That's so weird. Anyways, one other thing about raid bosses or LFR difficulty is they love to just like run in and pull. So you want to try and be there and be present as much as you can. But we'll kind of dive in and start talking about our first raid boss here. So this is One Arm Bandit. He's a big slot machine, and he's got a couple of mechanics. One thing he'll do is he'll summon these ads and he'll start channeling. You can see him channeling the ability spin to win. When he gets to the end, he will, I think in rage, he'll do a bunch of AoE damage. The ads will drop these. Um, the ads will drop these different sort of icons, and then you put these in to get him to stop channeling spin to win. So I'm gonna put mine in right at the end of the cast, and he'll go back into his other phase. Now on LFR difficulty, there's only 2 ads, and um, they have the assigned tokens that you put in, and when you put in tokens, he'll do certain abilities. So you could see he dropped that coil on the ground. It's right under him. It's a little hard to see, and that coil will do I don't know, something every so often. I think it just sends out little flames around it. Anyways, on higher difficulties, he'll summon 3 ads, and the order that you put the tokens in will determine the abilities that he does. In LFR, it's predetermined, so you don't have to. You don't really have to worry about that. In the other difficulties, I would just let someone who knows what they're doing handle it, and you can watch the boss videos that I'll recommend to learn more about the fight and understand the strategy. There are also strategies on Wowhead for each of the bosses, written guides, but the video guides I think are the best source here. So the other thing that he did, you probably noticed there was this big blue line that came out. He basically sends a big coin out towards the raid group. Um, and if you stand really close to the coin, you will get a buff, and um, it'll increase your damage and healing. And then it goes all the way to the back and it falls over, and one of the raid members can then go and pick it up and send it back in. So you double dip on the buff. In higher difficulties, he'll send out more coins. And then at a certain percentage, what he just hit, he will do what's referred to as an enrage, which essentially just means that he is um, moving in. Well, sorry, he didn't do an enrage. He moved into his final phase at a certain health percentage. When bosses are in rage, they usually start one-shotting people. But in his final phase, his mechanics change. He's no longer um, summoning those ads. He's just building up energy, hitting really hard. And you can see he dropped these pylons that are zapping. And if I stand in them, I start taking damage pretty heavily. So mechanics will change. They're called phases. So as you progress through a fight, or some fights have sort of like rhythmic phases where the boss's energy will accumulate, and then it will drop off, um, and they'll go in and out of different phases. So this is a perfect example of raid loot. So in a um, in a dedicated group with a guild, they might assign loot or have a master looter, but in any pickup group, you're just going to get these windows that pop up. They give you three options: need, greed, or transmog. I don't have this transmog, so that's the option for me. And then just want a ring, so I'm just gonna, I won. I'm just gonna roll on it. And then you can see here, it dropped the tier token, so venerated tier, which we're just gonna hit greed on there. And this is an event that's happening right now. These are the treasure goblins. So I mentioned them being outside of um, Dornagal. This is what they look like. And they also have a chance of summoning after you kill a raid boss in the Liberation of Undermine. So these are all going to drop little bags that have loot and those Hellfire shards that we were getting from turning in weekly quests. You can get all sorts of stuff here. You can get a 36 slot bag, which is super cool. You can get a mount, which is really cool. Um, 36 slot bag is probably like literally the best thing that we could get because our bags are really stinky. So we're going to replace this 10 slot bag with a 36. That's going to open up some more inventory for us. And we're going to loot this one. I don't know what the enmity bundle is, but the Hellcaller shards we're going to pick up too, and we're going to equip our ring. It's going to be a huge upgrade for us, even if the stats aren't very good. And we're going to open up the other Hellcaller chest to get more of those Hellstone shards and the enmity bundles. Oh, that's cool. I have these on my other characters, or my other account, so I did not get them. But it looks like they have transmog hood and cloak, which are very cool. Now, the thing that would be really awesome for us to get would be a bind on equip piece of loot, a BOE. They can drop from the raid, and you can sell them on the auction house. And that would be a huge jumpstart to our gold. But honestly, we're not doing so bad. We're up to 20,000 gold just naturally. We haven't really done anything um, outside of that one world boss to get lump sums of money. And now we're gonna go to Muggsy. So I was talking the whole time, but we just ran up the stairs and up through up a ramp, and we're heading into Muggsy's room. Muggsy is an ogre. Ogres in World of Warcraft, they can sometimes have two heads. If you've ever heard of Cho'Gall, he's a famous two-headed ogre. Um, Muggsy is like one of the heads of security here, and his room is a heart, big heart, and it's split into two halves, referred to as metal and dirt. This is the dirt half. This is the metal half, and just gonna grab that. We need to buy health potions too. Um, when you're it doesn't matter, I don't think so much on LFR difficulty, but when you're in normal and above, the amount of people in your raid on one side of the room determines what phase he's in. So typically folks will start on the metal side. Sometimes they'll start on the dirt side, but um, in order to get him to phase before his energy bar reaches 100, everybody has to move over to the other side, or at least a certain percentage. And this is another way of doing phases or phasing. So he'll have different abilities depending on which side he's in. On the metal side, he summons mines. When you run into them, they put an absorb shield on the raid when they explode, and healers need to heal it off. So you don't want to hit too many mines at the same time because then the absorb shield will be really big and it'll take a long time to heal it off and it can kill people. Um, he also will send out like a big orange circle, and that person needs to get out of the group. And then I'm pretty sure, or is it a soak? We'll know when I can see the icon. And then on the other side of the room, he traps people in these little earthen prisons and then spawns an elemental that they need to kill in order to break out. And then he'll do some tank related mechanics too. So I opened with Killing Spree, which I shouldn't have. I should have opened with Between the Eyes so that we got our crit buff so that our Killing Spree would benefit from that. You could see that ping from Bigwigs was the mines. So you can pop the mines. And then, okay, it is a group soak. So this big circle is a group soak. Soaks in raids typically have that like dotted line around the circle. Whereas you can see like this one, it's a little bit more of a solid line. That is one that you don't want. Or like this one, for example. So that is the other mechanic on the metal side. It's partly a tank mechanic, partly somebody's responsibility. They'll try and snipe someone, and um, the tank will take it, and then it'll put a big circle around them that nobody needs to stand in. Then the other thing was that frontal gunshot, basically, that was happening, and that will follow a person. So if you're targeted with that, you just want to stand still instead of wiggling all over the place. And he'll do it on this side too. These are the prisons. So I'm going to join this guy to help him with his prison. We're stuck in here. We're line of sight of the rest of the raid. You can see the raid up in my top left is grayed out, except for the people that are in here. And we're just trying to kill this guy and break everybody out of prison. And the little guy does a frontal. And then the tank mechanic here covers a guy in gold, and they're supposed to taunt swap, but it's like this guy didn't. So he wants to put that on the outside. And we've already brought him to the last phase. So he's going to start charging around the room. Doesn't matter what size you're on. These little blue circles are going to stun you like this one just did. And he's going to charge. And then he's going to do that big spin. So if you're a caster, good luck. Kind of sucks. Um, for melee, you just got to watch out for those little puddles. This would be a poor time to use Killing Spree because it could stun you like it just did there. And essentially, you want to just follow him and try not to get hit by these. After so many of those, he is going to revert. That's what that big ding is there saying stage 2. He enrages, which means he does a little bit more damage. And he goes back to what he was doing before. So he is summoning those mines, he's summoning these shockers. He's doing all of his abilities combined. And that's a pretty common trend that you'll see with raid encounters is that phase 1 will teach you some abilities, phase 2 will teach some others, and then they'll round them all up together. We're going to kill the boss, so I'm trying to just let him die, but he didn't want to do that. So you can see here it's all the abilities. It's group soak, it's prisons, it's everything. So it's boot and belt day, I guess. So we got 4 more pieces of loot. Transmog, belt. I do want the transmog, so I'm gonna hit need. I didn't get it. We did get a trinket, 632 item level. I don't think it's very good, so I'm just gonna hit greed. We're gonna join in on the next LFR difficulty. So if you queue for multiple LFR wings, it'll keep you in those queues and it'll just pop up the next one. These folks are seeing what they got from the different Bellagio reward levels. We didn't really get any. We'll get most of our renown from killing the last boss. This is the second wing, so this is going to be Cauldron of Carnage and Rick Reverb. You can see that over here on the right. And we're just going to head this way and follow the tank. If you're watching this video, you might say, man, you got a lot of shit going on your screen. And you wouldn't be wrong, but it doesn't always have to be like this. These are the things that I use and that many others use. However, there are many classes that are much simpler than Outlaw Rogue that you can absolutely get away with leveraging the base UI with and not have to worry about it. One other change that they made with this raid is that bind on equip items only drop from what are classified as lieutenants. I think that Flame Spite and Boom Spark are both lieutenants. So there's a chance that you could get a BOE here. Anything that gives you this reputation has a chance at a bind on equip item. So we're coming up on the Cauldron of Carnage. Cauldron of Carnage is a split boss. So you can see we've got a big gorilla over here and a big T-Rex over here. Typically, the way that folks will do this, like you can see here, odds left, evens right. Looks like we need another tank, but you can find out am my odds or evens by pressing O, which is your social menu. That's going to have your friends list and also your raid. You can click on the raid tab and you can see the individual groups. So maximum group size is 8 groups used for like battlegrounds and stuff. Maximum for Mythic is 20, but for LFR it's 25. And you can see here group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and group 5. So odds, which is where I am, oatmeal. Odds are going left, evens are going right. And that's pretty typical combination. So when you see that, just hit O, go to the raid tab, and see which group you're in. And what do we need to know about this boss? So you're split up. So we'll talk about both sides. I'm going to be going left, so I'll start talking about the right side first. If you're on the Torque side, Torque will Torque is all about movement. When you're over on this side, you'll get a debuff that stacks up. On higher difficulties, what you really want to do at a certain point when they reach maximum energy, they're going to clash in the middle, and you want to switch sides. They don't really do that on LFR difficulty. So over on the monkey side, you actually will have a small bar that fills up every time that you move, and if you move too much, it will, I think, stun you. And then there's also a moment where he will he will put these circles around you for a certain period of time. I'll try and go over there so you can see it. He'll put these circles around you so that you have to move, and so you want to move strategically. Over here on the T-Rex side, he will target a random person to put this scrap bomb on, and then he will immediately target someone to put that beam on. You don't want to point the beam to the other side with the other players, because the beam has essentially infinite range. So you want to make sure that you're pointing it towards one of the fences. However, the bomb will knock you in whatever direction you are around the bomb. And now they're going to clash in the middle because they've reached 100 energy. And they start just like dropping little AoE. They pulse AoE. Could be a good time to use an AoE defensive. And then this would be the normal time for groups to swap. So I'm going to go over here on monkey side, so I can show you what that looks like. Monkey side is pretty simple. Tanks didn't swap, so this guy was walking a little bit towards the other tank. He decided to come back. There's always confusion in LFR. He's just throwing that laser. Holy. And so this is you'll get a little arrow over your head, and you'll get these circles that'll come down. They do take a little while to explode, so it's not the end of the world. And then you can see up at the very top of my screen, this bar, every time I move, it fills up. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I get stunned for 5 seconds. Really bad if it happens right now during that AoE ability. And that's pretty much it. On any other difficulty from LFR, I mean, normal's probably fine too. What you want to do is kill them at the same time. That usually tends to be the case with twin bosses like that. And we're getting our goblins to spawn here. So we did get the Zenith token to drop here. You can see we got 2 tokens, but because we already have the veteran gloves, we can't roll deed on these. So we're just going to click greed, transmog, greed, crit haste ring. Still an upgrade for us, so we're going to roll need on both these rings. And then we're going to loot the boss, because you also get Valor Stones and you get Weathered Crests as well. We want to kill this goblin. It would be wicked cool if we got a mount from this. It'd be great. Nope, not today. So we got some more Hellstone shards. We should have enough of these. Yeah, we have 42, so we're going to go buy a transmog set after this, which will be awesome. It'll make us look cool. And then we're going to head over to Rick Reverb. This is the tier piece we're really hoping we get. There's a good amount of folks that are on our tier token here, so chances of us, first we need it to drop, then we need to win the roll. But you can see here we've got 2 warriors, 2 monks, 3 rogues, and an evoker. So could be competitive for us to get, but who knows, maybe luck is on our side. I'm just gonna vanish because they're pulling a lot here, so don't want to die. Honestly, LFR is pretty, I don't know, everybody kind of just, I think the phrase is zug zug, which just means that, like, brain off just moving forward, spamming buttons. So I always like to try to do things that I think will make it go a little bit faster. So like if there's somebody really far away and you're a death knight, you can grip them together, because that just means the people that are zug-zugging are going to do more damage. Or if you can kick something to bring in the mobs, get them a little closer, that can be good too. And then all this work that we've been doing so far is going to contribute to our Great Vault. So we already did that one heroic dungeon. We did multiple raid finder bosses, so we're about to unlock this second one here. We're going to actually get the +2 done this week, so even if I have to sneak it in right before the end so that we can get some heroic gear. Rick Reverb. So Rick Reverb is a boss. He's the third boss. His tank ability is called Tinnitus, and basically whoever's standing in front of him with his big speakers will get a debuff. So as a melee DPS, you want to make sure you're behind him. If you're the off tank, you want to make sure you're not getting stacks of Tinnitus. And tanks want to swap off after different stacks. Every so often, he's going to do an ability that slams an amplifier into the ground. That's what he's doing right now. He's slamming that amplifier, so you want to walk away because it stuns. And then these amplifiers will charge up over time. So the tank should really be moving the boss right now, because it's really hard to click on the amplifier. But what you can do is click the amplifier to drain it. You can see that yellow bar was filling up. I clicked on it, now it's draining. He's going to do a beam that you, I think, soak on higher difficulties, but it's not super critical on LFR. You can just tank it. And then he does an AoE like that, and then this time he brings down 2 amplifiers. And this is phase 1, like those are all the abilities essentially, and so people want to be draining the amplifiers. People don't like to do that in LFR for some reason. There's a couple people standing over there, which is good. I'm gonna go back and drain this one. When they hit the highest level, they just do like an AoE, so it's really not that critical, but they're going to come in handy in a minute when he goes into the next phase, when he reaches 100 energy. So he's at 73 right now. So we actually want to use our cooldown now, but of course he did just drop an amplifier, so we're going to back off. And what'll happen is when he reaches 100 energy, he's going to start picking one of the amplifiers, and he'll surround it with this blue circle. You'll see it happen. And what the raid needs to do, happening right now, but he's going to take less damage, going to pick an amplifier, a raid goes into it, and it's going to, he's going to send out a sound wave, and this amplifier pops and sends us over the sound wave. This whole time you're taking a little bit of damage, and if you can use any defensives during this time, it's really good. The boss, you can see here, has a buff that says damage taken reduced by 99%. There's not much point in doing any damage to the boss at all. So just focus on standing in these amplifiers, letting them bounce you around. When there's just one left, he'll move into the next, the first phase over again. I mean, that's pretty much it. Eventually it gets to a point where it's impossible to finish. I think he enrages at some point, but it's never going to happen in LFR. You can see we killed it after 2 phases. And I mean, honestly, if you're starting at this point and you're watching this video, season 3 is right around the corner. You're going to get a whole new LFR wings and a whole new raid called Mana Forged Omega. No tier token for us, so we're gonna go green, 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 and this is a haste necklace, so we'll need on that one. It's also an upgrade for us. And we got a 17. Mana Forge Omega is the new raid that's coming out. If you want to study and get ahead for it, there's a really good YouTube channel called Ready Check Pull, and at the start of every season they put out guides on every raid boss, and they have one up now for nearly all of the bosses in the new Mana Forge Omega raid. You can go check it out. You can start preparing for what is to come. And they'll mostly focus on heroic difficulty, so some of it might not be applicable, like I mentioned in my gearing video. The major differences between raid difficulties are loot, group requirements, damage output, health thresholds, and then abilities. So LFR really pares down the abilities compared to Mythic and Heroic. You can actually see in the dungeon journal, Shift J, raids, Liberation of Undermine, click on the boss that you're fighting, click abilities, click the difficulty, and it'll show you what is a heroic mechanic, and if it's not, it'll show you what's an LFR mechanic. So this is Galluix. This is the final boss of the Liberation of Undermine on LFR difficulty. It's just kind of a regular slog through the different phases. We're just going to talk through them as we go. I don't know what we're waiting for. Another tank, maybe? No, we have 2 tanks. Now, one interesting thing about the final boss is he doesn't drop he doesn't drop a specific slot token. He drops this excessively bejeweled curio. This can be turned in the Intercontinental Hotel or any piece. So when I said you want to do all of your LFR, you want to accumulate these tokens, what we're going to do is go through a bunch of essentially scenarios. So if we happen to get a token, we can combine that with the fact that we have a champion token from the Nightfall incursion, and we can make a selection. So we could use this veteran tier token on helmet or legs, and we can use the Nightfall token to trade in for a champion shoulder armor and catalyze that, and that way we can get closer to our 4 set. Or what we'll most likely do is just wait until we finish our time walking dungeons as well, see what we get for our heroic piece. If it's also a tier slot, we'll catalyze that. We'll pick a different champion piece, and we'll pick the lowest stat budget with our bejeweled curio. We're waiting for somebody. Galluix also has some gear that's pretty good for, I think, most of the other classes. Big haste mastery ring, big mastery trinket. Not super important for outlaw rogue. Oh. This time we did it right. We went in, we were stealth, and we hit Adrenaline Rush, which filled our combo points all the way. We hit Between the Eyes, which built our crit buff. We hit Ghostly Strike, and then we hit Killing Spree. And now we're just building our combo points, spending our combo points, reduce our cooldowns. So Galluix. Galluix was regarded as a relatively simple raid boss. I genuinely think that it has to do with changes that Blizzard made when it came to raid encounter design. You can see here there's a lot of stuff that's on the ground, and it's clear that you shouldn't stand in them, and I think that just made raiding drastically easier than it was before. So first phase, you're really on, at least on LFR, he's really just sending out a bunch of different abilities. In phase 2, he summons these ads and he starts doing pulsing raid-wide damage. This technician is the priority, and the technician was holding a bomb which fell on the ground, and the bomb needs to go over here to the Giga controls, get slam dunked in there, and then he stops casting. And then we go into the next phase where he summons a couple ads. He comes on over here. And the one thing that was different this tier as well from other tiers in the past was that the order, oh god, the order for the different phases was almost completely different from heroic into mythic. So if you jump into LFR, you might be seeing it in one way. If you jump into normal difficulty, you might see it in another. But essentially, like, this whole thing can be summed down to don't stand in the AoEs, get out of anything that's orange, and kill the ads as soon as you can. There's one AoE that is not like super noticeable, and I'll show you that. We'll come here. He gets in his big mech suit. Passing total destruction. That sounds like it's bad. This is a tank mechanic, and he's not running out with it, so the whole raid kind of just got hit. Yeah, this one's got a little bit more. So these lines go out on certain players. So what you want to do here is move out so that your lines don't hit people, but you don't want to move too much, because if you move too much, or you move at the last minute, you'll end up killing somebody. And then that other mechanic was the AoE I was talking about that's not super apparent. It's called suppression. It's this purple static that goes around him. So this is the tank mechanic. Normally the tank is supposed to run away, but here's suppression. That goes off. We go back in. And certain raid abilities will have like different ways of doing damage. So like these circles that you clearly shouldn't be standing in, those will just pretty much do instant damage. Sometimes things will put a damage over time ability on you. It can be all sorts of different things here. So we're gonna follow the bomb. Oh, somebody else got it. I didn't click the mouse button. They're gonna run it into there, stop that phase. Some abilities have what's called fall off damage. So fall off damage is when you get further away from the boss or the mob, the less damage you'll take. So suppression is an example of one of those abilities. And you can see that in the dungeon journal typically. So if we go to stage 3, we go down to stage 2. Oh god. I use Cloak of Shadows because suppression is magic damage, so I didn't die there. Suppression. I thought it would be blue for sure. Galliwix finishes this suppression with pizzazz, firing a massive shock at a targeted location, inflicting 11.2 million nature damage to all players, decreasing in damage as distance increases. That's a common thing that you'll see in Blizzard raids. I picked up the bomb again. Probably should have grabbed it. I didn't realize half of our raid was dead. See a big damage if you don't get out of it. And I should have finished the campaign probably in the I should have probably finished the Undermine campaign, because you do get a quest at the end to kill Galliwix, but we could do that in story mode. So we're just gonna hit need pretty much on everything. I think this is an upgrade for us. We didn't get the Curio, which is a shame. We really wanted that. I kind of wanted to get the Jaster Diamond just to see if somebody would pay us for it, which is such rude behavior, but we really need gold right now. Sometimes with very rare items like the Jaster Diamond, you can sell those to folks that really want it, although it's really not possible at the end of the season, or really not. They don't pay much. And all of a sudden we're back into dungeons. So we're into classic dungeons. We're going through Stratholme. And not much to really say about Stratholme, because it is a vanilla dungeon. The bosses are relatively straightforward. You do have to go around to certain portions of the map to unlock the end, so you do actually have to kill. The information on the side really says that you just need to kill Balnazar. However, in order to get all the way back there, you do have to kill, I believe, the upfront bosses. Stratholme can be broken into two parts if you play Classic. There's Strat Live, which is what we're doing right now, and there's Strat Undead, which is over on the other side of, I think, this gate over here. Strat Undead has Baron Rivendare as the final boss, and you can drop him out, which is actually buffed right now for the Collector's Bounty. We are not going quick, partially due to me not doing any damage, so let's do some damage. And you'll see I did join that dungeon queue, but we didn't get any loot because it was still being rolled out, so I kind of just like came over and joined the dungeon. That loot will be mailed to you. You can see it's already in my mailbox, actually. I think it might be Strat Undead where you have to kill everything. I think you can actually skip this guy and this guy, go straight in here, go fight some rats, and just kill your way all the way to the end. If you need to in a group, you can always right-click a party member and just apply a target marker. Anybody can do that in a party, so you can find your tank and just drop a target marker on their head if it's not done automatically. That'll just help you keep tabs on them. Oh, this is a boss. You'd hardly know it by looking at him. Dodging my abilities. Traveler's log progress. So we just unlocked an ensemble, which is great. The other thing we'll get at the end of the Traveler's log, if we finish it in time, which we should now that we're doing more group content, is we'll get a mount. It'll be cool. We'll get this horse mount. Oh, we don't have to go that way. Funny, they kind of know the way. I hope that Killing Spree isn't unpleasant to watch. It probably is. Kind of feels unpleasant sometimes. But they're changing it in Season 3, so not that I'm going to play this character in Season 3. I'm going to re-roll the wheel in Season 3. And what I'm going to probably try and do is either rig it so that we get a class that is a hybrid, or we'll, at the very least, we'll just take Rogue out of the equation so that we don't have to run this class again. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Rogue is okay in the Mythic Plus scene. And you can get 3 KO on any class, any spec that you want to play. But having a hybrid class really makes things a little bit easier, especially this part. It's so much faster to get into queues as a tank or a healer compared to a DPS. That you can charge through some of this stuff really easily. And I mean, that's also true from the Mythic Plus queues as well. There's a lot more leeway. You still need to be good. You probably need to be better at tanking or healing than a DPS in order to be successful in Mythic Plus, but or sorry, as a healer or a tank than you do as a DPS, but there is a little bit more leeway, especially with some of the earlier keys. There's more leeway and more responsibility. You'll get invited into things that maybe you shouldn't be invited in just because people need a tank or a healer. This live strat has a lot of optional bosses, as you could see. pretty positive that you could actually skip all the way to the end if you wanted to, or at least just hit the few key bosses that are needed. You can also in here skip Wily Hopebreaker. I think you can skip Instructor Galford and just basically go all the way to the end. Honestly, I wouldn't mind killing more bosses because it does drop 610 gear, and we need a 610 ring, 610 shoulders, helmet, and we could use some bracers too. But honestly, I just want to get this done because the only thing I really care about is the rogue gear. Tricks. One other thing that changed when we switched our talent build was we did pick up Tricks of the Trade instead of Blackjack, which is what we were using solo while leveling. Tricks of the Trade is a buff that we put on the target. Normally it has a 30-second cooldown and it transfers the threat from our next damaging attack to the target. Because we're using the Trickster hero talent, the Tricks of the Trade is actually a buff that will last an hour. So something that I want to be doing as part of my roguely duties is applying Tricks of the Trade to my tank at the start of every dungeon. And that's going to redirect all threat that I cause to the party or raid member, beginning your next damaging attack within the next 30 seconds and lasting for 1 hour. Let's see here. It's a buff here. Oh, cool. We got shoulders. That's great. So we finished that. We're going to leave here. We got credit. We killed the final boss. We got 3 more time walking dungeons to go. We'll probably end it once we're done there. Already hit that 2-hour mark. But I want to get this done. So we're going to equip those shoulders. That brings us to 618 item level. And I'm just double checking. So I haven't gotten the queue for Maniacal Machinist. So we don't want to spend any tokens or anything yet, but we just want to join the... There it is. I'm just going to click find a group here. So hopefully that queue time goes while we're in this raid. This is the last wing that we're going to do. We don't need... Well, that's unfortunate. We don't need Vexy, because we will unlock the maximum vaults just with this Sprocket Monger kill here. Sprocket Monger's chest piece, and then Styx's legs. So what we'll probably do is kill Sprocket Monger. That'll get us our last vault slot, and then we'll heavily prioritize the remaining time walking dungeons because we want to see what we get. If we go and do our time walking and we open up a heroic legs, we're just going to catalyze those. We do want the Junk Maestro's Mega Magnet, so Styx is worth doing, but it's better in track, and we can actually go and buy a Hero Track 1 after killing our 4 bosses. We're doing our 4 dungeons. We could also loot it from our cache. Where's the bosses over here? We're all here, I think. Okay, this guy's just being a jerk for no reason. You don't normally want to go in and pull an LFR boss, but that guy was being a jerk and the group wasn't starting for some reason, so. Sprocket Monger Logenstock. Extremely hectic fight, in my opinion. Super glad that I wasn't progressing this on Mythic difficulty, although everybody said they had fun with it. So he starts in the back of the room, and he electrifies the front half of the room. He'll electrify this portion in just a second. He's doing it now, so we'll all move back here. And each part of the room can essentially be separated into 4 quadrants. You can see front left, front right, bottom left, bottom right. The tank mechanic is similar to that of Galliwix. He puts this big bomb on the tank, and he needs to run away because it does fall-off damage. And then throughout the first phase, while his energy is building up, he's doing 3 things. He is, well, in normal and higher difficulties, he is putting mines on the ground that need to be popped in a certain order. If you pop 2 at the same time, it'll kill you. He is summoning those rockets that you saw shoot across, and he's summoning these magnets. These magnets are going to pull the whole raid in. And then he also, in the first part, when we were on the other side of the platform, he did these big lasers that went across. Now, when he reaches 100 energy, which he's coming across now, he's going to do a huge knockback. All of the platforms are going to be electrified, and you're forced to run on one of these conveyor belts. You can see the conveyor belts actually do move you. So now he's going to knock back, so I'm going to angle myself so that I'm going diagonally, and then I'm going to come in here into this middle portion. And of course, it couldn't be just that. He will drop these little mines on the ground that will stun you while you're on the conveyor belt. And then he does that for a little bit. It lasts longer on other difficulties, but he'll do that for a little bit, and then he'll go back into the different phases. One thing that will change between the different phases after the first one is everything kind of gets a little void. So you'll see here, now he's summoning these void turrets across the far wall. Okay. And the abilities are going to get bigger. So the lasers got bigger, the magnets are going to pull faster, and the rockets are going to be bigger void rockets. So electrified platforms, mines, which aren't here on LFR difficulty, turrets, lasers, magnets, knockback. The other thing that'll change here is that he will fire abilities in conjunction in phase 2. So you can see we're getting rockets and we're getting lasers. Go. No tier pieces. Got a healer trinket. Transmog. Boots. It's freaking boot day. Holy. I'm gonna leave the instance group there. It's freakin boot day. All right. So we're in that queue. It says average wait time is about 5 minutes. So in the meantime, I'm just going to level up my herbalism. I need to talk to everybody about professions. Whoa. Because professions are like a totally... they're entirely possible to play the game and really just focus on professions and making money. We'll talk about that when I start crafting something. We just picked up a pile of dirt, spawned a mob. Dirt is like you'll see it as you're roaming around. It's these little purple piles of dirt that is on the ground. Each time you go into the dirt, the first time you go in, you'll get a quest. Strange lump of wax. It's going to bring you to Gundergaz to talk to a kobold. When you rummage around in the dirt, you can get lumps of wax. You can turn in lumps of wax for different items from the kobold that you talk to. So here's another example. We'll dig through. Different things will happen when you dig through. Sometimes you'll just get a glob of wax. Sometimes a blob will spawn. Sometimes... What's he doing to me? He hurts. Sometimes you'll get a blob that you need to jump up and down on. You can see they award these delve rewards too. We can sell these on the auction house. And you'll get these odd globs of wax. We have 5 now. We need 10 to turn it in. So I mentioned it before. Gathering professions, they're not huge money makers because there are bots that just go and gather things on repeat. However, as a DPS player, doesn't have an off spec for healing or tanking, when I'm queuing for stuff like this where the queue time can go from 5 minutes to 12 minutes in the blink of an eye, it's nice to have something that you can actively be doing. You can also, of course, actively do world quests. You could play the auction house if you wanted to. I don't think you can do delves while you're queuing, but that's definitely something that I might also do. Now that we're higher than 606 item level, we're up to 618, we're collecting tier, we can be really comfortable just going into +2s, but I might do these delves just because the call to delves is item level 636. That's champion track. That would be another thing that I would recommend accomplishing before you do all your calculations. See what your heroic piece of gear is, see what your champion piece of gear is from the delve quest, see what you get from LFR, and then sort of make your decision there on what you want to do. I think you saw it happen. You just saw it happen again there in the War Within. Some of the herbs and mining nodes will have special effects. That one will knock you back. So this mound of dirt spawned a bunch of chickens on us. So we got to kill them, loot them. We get 3 odd globs of wax, a bit of gold, a couple potions. Delete that. I think it's okay. I think it's added to our collection now, so we'll get rid of that. And I think what we're actually going to do is probably a hearth, where we could fly to Gundergaz. We're in the Glob of Wax quest. We need to empty our inventory, which we can do at any vendor. We have enough trash in there, but we also need to organize it. And we're kind of talking about professions, so maybe we could talk about a reagent bag as well, which will help us with our inventory organization. And I mentioned needing to stock up on some healing potions later. We'll definitely do that as well. We'll craft some healing potions as part of our alchemy training. Let's just take a look at the world quest, see if there's anything else that would help us. Looks like we have some weathered crests, some valor stones. Spreading the light would give us a hell collar chest. We already did the boots. Wait, did we not get credit for that quest? We didn't get the gold.
For the Arathi to survive, we must settle in lands shadowed from
man.
Beldar's light.
Going back, we're gonna herbalize our way over there. You can see that herb just disappeared right in front of us. Those are the bots at work. So the bots will fly around and they'll mine things all at the same time, and the herb node can only be mined, I think, or picked or mined. Mineral node can be mined 5 times before it disappears. I don't even know if I looted that before it went away. I don't think I did. So we're back in Stratholme. This is the undead side, so there is a chance for a mount here off of the final boss, Rivendare, which would be really cool. I don't have any room. I was hoping there'd be a vendor. We're gonna put a target marker on our tank so we know where he is. This side of Stratholme, on the other hand, you actually do need to clear through. You need to start by killing the Ashari crystals. They're inside each of these necropolises from the first 3 bosses. So I'll show you what that looks like. Or sorry, not the first 3 bosses, because the first boss is going to be right here. But the bosses after that. I thought there was a boss right here. Maybe they got rid of him. Like, here's a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier with talent builds. So, like, I have Killing Spree as an ability, and Killing Spree, if I use it, I also have talents that give me 7 combo points, and if I use it, it actually requires us to hit the target. The target needs to be alive for all 7 strikes for us to get maximum value. Now, you can, of course, just use it at lower combo points if you really have a good handle, you're really good at the class, you have an understanding of how much damage it would do. That's, you know, not always the case. So, but an example of what I was talking about with talent points, Killing Spree doesn't really make much sense in time walking dungeons because things die so fast, with the exception of bosses, that it's not really worth using them on any trash pulls. So talent points might be better distributed elsewhere. Anyways, this is the first boss. Spider boss. No real special abilities. He just roots you in place. We're just burning them down. Classic dungeons are boring. On retail, on classic. But the important thing is, in Stratholme, you actually have to go in and kill these in order to destroy the crystals. So looks like our tank doesn't know that. These mobs are normal, however, they're not elites. You can see they don't have the banner. So me and the Moonkin are just gonna take care of this real quick. They're actually going after the other guy because I have Tricks of the Trade activated. So I think it's funny though, it doesn't show that you destroyed the crystal. You do need to go in there and kill those guys. I've been mind controlled. Mind control is a fun ability in World of Warcraft. Usually what you have to do is hit, like, if a mob mind controls you or a boss mind controls you, your party usually has to deal enough damage to you to break you out, knock some sense into you. While you are mind controlled, the game can use any of your abilities. So like there, it popped Adrenaline Rush. There's a bunch of different status effects that can impact you there. So there, the game actually used Ice Block, which is an immunity. So it actually broke the mage out of the mind control. Oh shoot. So this one, we'll go back inside. Hear this. Okay, it did update. The crystal was destroyed. Hear that. 2 out of 3 crystals destroyed. So this group is going a little bit faster, so what we're going to try and do is get them to queue again, because we want to take advantage of the tank and healer queue. We don't want to be doing time walking dungeons forever. What we really want to be doing is endgame dungeons, keystones, higher difficulty raids. All right, progressing along here. Optional boss over here. Actually, it looks like it might be required, which is great. We're gonna get some loot too. The one time where it's okay to overcap combo points is if you don't have Blade Flurry up and there are multiple mobs. You want to make sure your finishers are hitting. What's the loot? We get, oh, leather wrists. Perfect. Oh, veteran weapon. Didn't even know I had that in my inventory. Just looking for something cheap to get rid of. We killed all the Zerots. What does he mean we missed one? Huh. Well, we're just gonna take care of this. Key to the city. Ba-ba. Maybe there were crystals. I thought there were just ads that he came in here and killed. That guy did run up. Maybe I just didn't run up close enough to the middle. Gosh, I hope it's not bugged. Bean parts. Well, that stinks. Almost looks like this guy's in combat with somebody. I don't know who or what. What do you mean it's this one? What about it? I don't think it is that one. It's the one I'm doing. We're looking for people that escaped. Something's under the ground. Spooky. Oh, we did it. Well, Boss fight, boss fight. Blam. Oh, we really need to make some inventory room. That's for sure. This is just all part of kind of the end scenario. We get to this last little ziggurat here. Kill this guy, kill those ghouls, kill all the A-bombs, kill this guy, kill all the ghouls, kill these four, and then we go in and we kill the Baron. Nope. We did strat. He got Death Charger's reigns. Strats. It's on mount. Then I'm going to click join on party because I want to get us to run again. That mount is relatively rare. It's buffed right now for the event. So the healer stuck with us, which is great. The healer queue will be a lot quicker. You can see here 55 seconds. I really do wish I had a place where I could sell some stuff. But I've never done this before. Let's do a full bag sort. See how it organizes everything. So it's got vendor trash out front. Oh, I don't need these. These are little Diablo medallions that drop from the goblins. Those are junk. I can use these to increase my profession knowledge. We have some space here. I don't really need a key to the city. Get rid of that. Also don't need an ancient Mogu key. We'll get rid of that. This is from Dragonflight quest item. I don't need that. These are all of our time walking quests, which I don't need those. We're not going to keep this account after this challenge is over. We'll go back to my main account for all my new characters because 2 WoW subscriptions is crazy. I don't need this invisibility potion. Need this demonic rune. So we got all this old gear we can sell. We got a ton of boots. Don't need the belt. Although with current season veteran gear, one neat little transmog thing that you can do is you can save all of your veteran gear, and at the end of a season, the catalyst is going to give you unlimited charges for previous season gear. So as soon as we go into season 3, you're going to start getting those bi-weekly catalyst charges. And when if you take your old gear, like this veteran gear, you can put in an infinite amount in just to get the transmog. So if you manage to save every visible slot for these veteran pieces, I have the gloves, but if I kept the belt and I found pants and boots and gloves and bracers, whatever it might be, I can keep all of this, and at the end, at the end, This guy's AFK. Offline. At the end of the season, I can go and catalyze all these pieces. There's no limit. And then I can, okay, everybody's just leaving. And then I can unlock this full transmog set. So something really cool that you can do to just unlock more appearances. Neat little tip. So we left the group, find a new one, 2 more time walking dungeons. Did we equip the bracers? We didn't. So we'll search for wrist, grab those bracers. It requires you to have veteran gear plus in order to use it to the catalyst. So you can't just grab the stuff from you can't just grab the stuff from time walking. You can, however, get veteran gear from doing these nightfall dailies. So if you did nightfall dailies enough, there's a chance that you could get veteran gear for every slot, which would be great. Where is this herb? This herb's all the way up here. All right, we need to do a couple things. We're going to Hearth up to Dornegal just because it's quicker. Oh, we need the world quest. That's what we're doing. So sometimes, for whatever reason, defeating the world boss just doesn't defeat the quest, even though you can see it says that we have credit. So we're just going to walk over there. We'll see if it just completes just by kind of showing up. Doesn't. So we're going to sign up to this group. It's probably karma for me coming in and just half-assing it at the end. Looks like this group's waiting for it to respawn. Anybody got a mount that has a vendor on it? Everybody's riding their cool new mounts that they got, like Invincible, with the event that was going on. Probably make it there and back to a vendor. We're gonna hit an all-time high for longest stream today.
We are the holders of hope.
Gonna sell the junk.
Don't despair.
And there we go. Freed up a lot of space. We will go topside after this. We're gonna pick up a transmog set. We're gonna pick up a reagent bag.
The Cobus encroach on Velhand's claim. Protect the residents
why this guy
from
isn't
their
spawning.
aggression.
So you probably saw me use these. Oh, there he is. You probably saw me use these
Attacking in the shadow and the light.
earlier. They increase our profession knowledge. And we'll talk about profession knowledge in the next video. We'll actually finish the Undermine campaign and we'll craft an item. We'll go through the whole thing with crafting. money. There it is. Received gold. We got reputation. Cool. So we're gonna hearth. We're gonna check, are we still queued? Looks like that dipped us out of the queue. Join the queue. The hearth. See what we can get here. So what do we got? We have gear that we need to sell, just raw gear that we need to sell for gold. I probably could have made a little bit of money if I found some that were buy non-equip, but I'm not super worried about that. Yeah, like this ring. I don't know how much we could get for it. I also sold, was it gloves? No, warbound. 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 Yeah, let's just see.
Come back with some better stories. If you find anything exotic,
He got off his mount, or he moved. This is an auction house mount, so anytime you see these Brutosaurs, you can access the auction house from these. This is a transmog mount. Anytime you see one of these yaks, you can access a vendor to sell and repair, and you can access a vendor to transmog as well. So we're just going to try and sell 300 gold. We'll give it a shot. I don't know, but everything helps right now. It's $2.99. Check the mailbox because we got loot from. Ooh, we got a couple things. We got loot from the dungeon. We got transmog that we didn't pick up from the goblins. We got a weapon from the raid, and we got some herbs. So this transmog from the treasure goblins is really cool. It's just like a bag of loot with a sword sticking through it. So we're gonna keep that, and then this one is definitely better than the other veteran item that we had. What else do we got? So I mentioned we wanted to pick up a reagent bag. You'll probably notice in your bag slots, there's one that's empty. It illustrates it better on the default WoW UI instead of this add-on, but you can buy bigger bags by going into the auction house and picking up containers. Regular bags can be found under bags. You can sort by slot and by cost, so I would take a look at what the biggest bags are for the cheapest amount. You can get a 34 slot bag for 439 gold. So I'm going to purchase 2 of those. 30 slots is pretty good, and I do want to hold on to my money a little bit. So I'm going to buy 1, and I'm going to buy 2. And then there's different types of bags. There's different bags for different professions, but you can also put all of your stuff into a reagent bag. So for 600 gold, we can get a 36 slot reagent bag, which we're going to pick up right now. And that's going to be a huge difference. So measly, 800, 1400 gold gets us 3 bags. Although we had plenty of inventory space, as you saw, not much inventory management happening. So the reagent bag can go here. That gives us this whole separate section just for crafting reagents like herbs, minerals, and then we're going to drop this one into here. And we're going to drop this one into here. And we got a ton of inventory space to work with. So we're going to go ahead and vendor. Now they're going to change the bank pretty soon. So we're going to go ahead and vendor our old bags, and we're going to take a look through here. These are old crafting reagents. We could sell them on the auction house, but I'm not really worried about that. The 10 slot bag we don't care about. And then what we're going to do, this is all old stuff. Then what we're going to do is we're going to hit that sort, and it's going to drop all of our crafting reagents down into the bottom. God, that was satisfying. It's going to drop all of our crafting reagents down to the bottom. Lay Blood is another old crafting reagent. It'll say here, you can see when you mouse over it, Legion crafting reagents. So it'll tell you what profession. If it just says crafting reagent, I'm pretty sure that means it's from the current expansion. Crafting, classic crafting reagent. We don't need that. Cloth. And this comes from these like random, I'm not a miner, so like I'm an herbalist. So this bismuth and these spools of weaver thread that came from the dirt.
Not everything in the ocean.
We can just go and throw that up on the auction house. We don't really need it for anything that we're doing. And the more money we have, the better. Crafting reagents tend to sell pretty quick. And I'm going to keep the samples and spores and charm caps. We might need those for our herbalism grind. Okay. So we're just waiting for our queue right now. We're coming up on that 7-minute mark. We got 2 more to do. Quests that we've completed so far. So we finished the first turbo boost, which is going to give us 3 puzzling cartel chips. This was a quest that came out in the turbo boost middle of the season. It awards puzzling cartel chips. When you first get the quest, the first reward is going to give you 3. You can turn in 3 to Consultant Rexel for any piece of hero gear from the raid or any hero trinkets from dungeons. On the other side, you'll see the myth level trinkets. If you complete all dungeons at plus 12, you can purchase the myth level dungeon trinkets. And if you defeat the raid bosses on mythic difficulty, whatever piece of loot you're looking for, whichever boss it drops off of, if you defeat that boss, you can then buy it. So we're not going to defeat mythic bosses as part of this challenge because that typically requires a guild. Some things are puggable. So we're mostly going to be leveraging this for quick heroic gear. However, you only get 3 puzzling, you get 9 puzzling cartel chips total. You can repeat this quest that'll be on this wanted poster outside the bank, killing 4 undermine raid bosses or completing mythic dungeons over and over again to get the remaining 6 cartel chips, which will allow you to purchase 3 pieces of gear. They're hero level, so we don't really want to use these on any trinkets that come from the dungeon, and we know from our research that the best trinkets for us are the Junk Maestro's Mega Magnet and the House of Cards. We also know that one of the best weapons for us is Capo's Molten Knuckles. The caveat here is that eventually when we start doing +6 keys and gaining gilded undermine crests, we'll be able to craft mythic gear. So we can actually craft 2 mythic weapons. We also know that one of our weapons is going to be this Nightfall Curse Blades Cudgel. So we don't need the Capo's Molten Knuckles because they're only going to be on the hero track and they're only going to go up to a certain item level, which we can make a crafted piece much higher. So our ultimate weapons in the end will be a crafted piece of gear in the main hand at 681 item level, and then this cudgel maxed out at 8 out of 8 champion track in the offhand. The only things that are available from this vendor are very rare pieces of loot, such as the Test Pilot's Go Pack, which is a cloak, a Haste Mastery cloak, weapons from the raid, trinkets from raids or dungeons, and then other examples of very rare loot like the Jaster Diamond. because we know that the Jaster Diamond isn't good for us, we can pretty comfortably say that two of our three cartel chip allotments are going to be on our trinkets. So we can spend it on House of Cards, and we can spend it on the Junk Maestro's Mega Magnet. That doesn't mean that a mythic trinket from the dungeons might not be better, but it's a good way to spend our money here. We can also get a hero track weapon just to use right away if we want to. Oh shoot, that was stupid. I missed the timer. We're gonna join back in. Hopefully Blizzard is kind to us and it pops us right back in there. What I want to do for right now is just wait until I complete these time walking dungeons so that I can see what I get. There's a slim chance that I could get a House of Cards or a Junk Maestro's Mega Magnet, and I don't want to purchase this and then loot that from the box. I'm actually really hoping I don't get it from the box. What I really want is any tier slot hero item level. That's really, really what I'm hoping for. I can buy the trinket. That's going to be no problem. I can buy both trinkets. I could run heroic raids if I wanted to, which of course could give us tier, but I'm really hoping right out the get-go for the most bang for the buck, I just get a piece of hero tier. So you always want to accumulate this, and you know, like I said, this is going to be the last week of the tier coming up pretty soon. So this information will only last so long, but it sounds like the plan is for Blizzard to do a turbo boost. Turbo boost brought back a lot of players mid-season, kept players that were doing Mythic Plus dungeons active. So it sounds to me like it's very likely that they'll do turbo boost and they'll do these cartel chips, or they're often referred to as dinars from the first iteration of this. We might see those happen again. So this information will still be relevant later. So we lost our dungeon queue, which is super unfortunate. I really could have clicked that button. But there's a weak aura that'll do a countdown timer. But that'll give us time to talk about some other stuff. Particularly what you could be doing at 606 item level. So I did talk previously about running LFR, which is what we've actively been doing. Any time walking quests. Any weekly quests, any quests that award boxes that include champion gear or heroic gear. So the other thing that we could be doing right now is delves. The end of delve gear wouldn't be super great, but another thing that you can do to ensure that your vault is locked and loaded is doing a +8 delve. That's going to give you a hero piece down here at the bottom. Not super easy to do straight out of the gate with the gear that you have, but it does get easier with more gear. So at 620, we'll definitely be able to do dungeons at a higher, or delves at a higher level.
Choose wisely.
I'm going to take those hell shards. I'm going to turn those in for this rogue set, because that's going to have us looking pretty cool.
Remember the
40 40 hell shards will get you a set. You can see here, I'll just swing back around. You can get sets for any class. So this is the Death Knight set, the Druid set, the Mage set, Paladin. They're all recolors of tier 2 armor, so it's Bloodfang for the Rogue. And I think it looks pretty cool. It's also great for a new player because you can see kind of got a clown outfit going on right now. So there's a transmog mount. So we'll go over to this. And we did unlock Plague Guy, the Plague armor from Icecrown Citadel, but now we've unlocked one of our first full sets. Hey, come back. We'll just go over to the regular transmog folks. in this alleyway. That's something else we could talk about real quick too while we're here. So I want to transmog my gear. So with the full set, you can actually just equip that instead of an outfit. But I'm gonna put on my character, select new outfit, do tier 2 black. And then we've got a couple swords that we can choose from. Those look pretty good. I don't hate the purple ones, to be honest. I might just keep those. A couple axes to choose from. We've looted a lot of mesas, apparently. And fist weapons. So I think we'll go with these swords. And another cool thing you can do is unlock weapon enchantments. So they'll add these like glowing effects. Most of these are pretty lame, pretty not apparent, but Shadowlands has a lot of cool weapon enchantments and effects. Oh, we look sick now. Super cool. Right next to the transmogrifier is the barber. At the barber, you can change anything that you had on the character selection screen, including your gender. So you can feel free to swap that around. It's basically exactly the same. It does cost a little bit of gold, but you can switch that around as you would like. And getting close here to our 8-minute mark. See, is there anything else that we want to do? The theater troop event, which is part of our world quest, I think that unfortunately just ended. We'll go take a look anyways, just in case. Theater troop just has you perform sort of like an open world event. Yeah, it definitely just ended. It'll give you a little cash and some reputation. It can be done once a week. Happens every hour on the hour. And sometimes it'll be part of your
the show must
weekly world quest, one of the options that's available. It will reward you with a restored coffer key, which is what you can use in tier 8 delves to get loot at the end of a bountiful delve. Now, we did have a quest here with the upgrade vendor. So basically, they want to teach you how to use the upgrades. We know that we're going to be upgrading our Nightfall Curseblade schedule up to 8. So we can actually drop this in. And you can see here finally on your screen what the upgrade system looks like. So you basically, any piece of gear from this season, Explorer, Adventurer, Veteran, Champion, whatever, can be upgraded along the tracks, and it'll show you how much it costs in terms of Valor Stones and Crests. So Champion track items, which are normal difficulty, cost carved crests, and they cost a certain number of Valor Stones. Veteran gear takes... Well, this is high enough veteran gear that it takes carved crests, but if it's low enough, it will take weathered crests and heroic tracker rune crests, myth tracker gilded crests. So we'll click upgrade on this once. Looks like somebody declined the invite. Here's another one. Not gonna miss it this time. Somebody else did. We're going to click upgrade on that once. We turn the quest back in. He refunds us. He gives us some Valor Stones. Then they talk about crests. Originally, you're supposed to just upgrade, adventurer gear. That doesn't take much, but we know we needed the carved crest. So after, he'll give you a quest to acquire 15 weathered crests. When he does that, he'll give you a satchel of carved crests, which are for normal. If you've already acquired that amount of weathered crests, it'll just complete the quest. Then he's going to teach you about crest transmutation. So he's basically saying, bring 15 carved crests to me, turn them in. You can trade them with me for a pouch of weathered crests. He'll refund your carved crests afterwards. We're just going to enter the dungeon because I'm not going to let that happen again. And I want to make sure that this gets wrapped up tonight. So this is the Dead Mines. Dead Mines is like one of the first dungeons that folks on the Alliance side will do. It's long. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different bosses. And don't pay any attention to the damage being done in time walking dungeons. I'm sure most folks know that, but the scaling's all out of whack. Sometimes super low level characters will come in and start doing a ton of damage. The 610 necklace, that's good. It's not the stats that we want, but who cares? Like, it's actually so satisfying looking at my bag space. I can't believe how easy it was to get so many slots. I remember playing this game when I was a lot younger and people would just like beg for gold. And honestly, it's gotten to a point here where don't get me wrong, we are going to spend this and there's stuff that costs a lot of gold. But at the same time, it's gotten a lot easier to get the bare necessities just by playing the game. So my recommendation for new players with gold is to use it sparingly to a point. Bags are one-time purchase. And they're gonna last you a long time. Like you could use these bags for eternity. This is more than enough in terms of the vault slots. So, or sorry, in terms of bag space, you can easily go to vendors, take care of stuff, keep things organized. No problem there. And I mentioned stuff that you can do at 606 item level. I mean, we also have 2 Sparks of Fortune at this point. I do want to save 1 because the other thing that you can do at that item level, or the other thing that we should have been kind of doing the whole time long, and we'll go back to that if we're stuck in the queue, is finishing the Liberation of Undermine campaign. So you want to save 1 of these Sparks of Fortune so that you can take your enchanted runed crest and craft a heroic piece of equipment, most likely a weapon. But your other ones you don't want to use necessarily freely for crafted gear. You want to make sure that what you're doing makes sense. You don't want to always just craft in the lowest item level, but your priority is really going to be weapons. If you don't have good weapons or you don't have unique weapons like this one, that are specific to like your class or role, you can look that up by seeing what the folks in the highest difficulties are doing in your role, whether that's on Warcraft logs or Raider.io. And but you can, like, for the most part, start looking at different right, you're going to want to craft your weapon first because that's usually has the biggest stat budget. And so a heroic weapon for a new player is going to be really good. And then you're going to want to craft your embellish slots too. So your embellishments, those are added crafted reagents that have an impact. So increasing versatility or increasing critical strike. Are all really good. On use effects, sometimes you might see that your weapon is actually your best embellishment. So looking up from those resources, Raider.io and Warcraft logs, what do I want my embellishments to be? Those should be your second priority in terms of crafting. And then you can look at those top players and see, okay, this guy crafted a ring. Maybe there's no good rings that are available with the stats that I want. Maybe they couldn't get a mythic ring. But primarily after you craft your weapon, your best embellishments, you can start looking at your lowest item levels for pieces that aren't tier pieces. Because we want to make sure that we do have our our 4 tier piece slots activated. This requires, yeah, okay, that's what I thought. As a rogue, I can pick this lock. Normally in Dead Mines, what you need to do is go back, get a cannon gunpowder that's up around the corner, and put it in this cannon to blow the door open. But if you have a rogue in your party, you can actually pick the lock. So crafting. Weapons, use your rune crest. Otherwise, you can start using these sparks on your other armor slots, because they are going to give you, even just at the base spark item level, they will give you 645 item level. So it's a great way to get big upgrades. Most of the time you'll have embellishments on low item level or low stat budget pieces like bracers or cloaks. At this point, you don't really want to craft a cloak, because when season 3 starts, we're going to be getting an artifact cloak as part of the campaign. So that's something that you can kind of ignore for now. But other low stat budget pieces include bracers, belt. Obviously, we have the belt right now, boots. And that's not an advanced topic, but just something that's good to be aware of. The different armor slots all have different stat budgets that are allocated. It's hard to tell when they're all different item levels. But a good example of this, you can see with the necklace, it has 9,112 stamina at 610 item level, and the shoulders have 1,200 stamina. Do we have any other similarities? Not really. So the way that stat budget works across different pieces of gear, not stat budget, but just like the amount of stats that you'll get. Chest and I believe it's helmet will have the biggest stat budget. So chest piece and helmet. And then following that is shoulders and legs. And then following that is gloves. And then below that is belts and boots. And then bracers and cloak. And then rings and necklaces, jewelry, they don't have any main stat. So they tend to be within reason a little bit lower on the stat budget. So like usually you'll see people really want to prioritize, like when it comes to upgrading gear in like the first couple of weeks, they're upgrading things like weapons because they provide the biggest stat bonuses, and then things like chest pieces. Jewelry tends to be more about fixing your secondary stats than anything else, because jewelry has the most flexibility in that regard. With your tier pieces, you're kind of locked in on the stats that they provide, depending on which 4 pieces you choose. Whereas with your rings and your necklaces, you're free to really just choose whatever's the best for you. Unless there are special rings or special necklaces. We're actually fighting 2 bosses at once. Van Cleef and Captain Greenskin. We're going to try and queue up again with this group, just like we did last time. I have a feeling the Demon Hunter will just kind of peace out, but... Greenskin. Cool barb. Yeah, the healer pieced. See if we can get this tank to queue up again. Yes, perfect. Tank queues are the fastest. Just need that other DPS to join. Come on, buddy. Come on, Sketches. You can do it. Oh my god. Sketches doesn't want to hang. Course of All does, though, which is great. Let's see if this warrior will queue back up again. Come on, man. Sweet, we're in. So you can see here, average wait time for a group with a tank is 62 seconds. We instantly got the other DPS. Now we're just looking for a healer. If you want to, you can also just teleport out of the dungeon. That'll bring you back to where you were. So you can keep doing work while you're waiting that 62 seconds for your group to form up. We were talking to this upgrade vendor. Basically, he wants us to bring him 15 carved crests. And which he gave us in the quest before. And then what you need to do is click show me your crest transmutation options. You need to downgrade your carved crests into weathered crests, which we don't want to do, but when we purchase that, he's going to give us a pouch that gives us 15 weathered crests, and turning in the quest will refund us the carved crests that we just spent. So it's all just part of the tutorial. You can just work on through that, and then we'll use those, and we actually net gain 15 weathered crests. Now, the other thing that this vendor is going to provide, which I mentioned in my Gear Up video, is eventually you will outgrow the use of weathered crests when you hit a certain item level. As soon as you outgrow, which means like having a high enough item level where none of the gear that you need can be upgraded with, or none of the gear that you have can be upgraded with weathered crests. Just remove me from the queue? I'll be darned. Maybe you can't teleport out of the dungeon. Your group has been he left the group. Holy, glad we saw that. Find a group. When you reach that threshold, what you'll find a new option here at the vendor, and you'll be able to spend 45 weathered crests to get a satchel of carved crests. That satchel will contain 15 carved crests. So it's a 3-to-1 ratio to upgrade them from weathered to carved. And this is great because, as you can see, I have 85 carved crests and I have 186 weathered crests. So as soon as I hit that threshold, which I can acquire just simply from acquiring gear through normal raid plus twos, doing dungeons, I'll be able to turn those 186 weathered crests into 60 carved crests, which I can then use to upgrade my normal gear. Once I upgrade my normal gear high enough, I'll outgrow the use of carved crests. I can turn those carved crests into rune crests, upgrade my hero gear. Once I reach a high enough item level, I can turn them into myth crests at those ratios. So even just doing stuff out here in the open world for weathered crests can be somewhat useful. So, but anyways, we're just gonna dive back in. All we're gonna do with the rest of our time tonight, and I know it's been a huge video, about 3 hours long. We're just going to continue working on the Liberation of Undermine campaign while we wait for this queue to pop. Other things we could be doing are limitless. We could be doing dungeons. We could be doing, we could be doing delves. We could be doing +2 dungeons.
Again? Are you serious?
Time's a wasting. Keep cool out there. What's the news?
Gold is precious.
See you around.
Oh, I didn't even realize I had a different option as a rogue. That's fun. Fun little RP.
Black blood, new weapons, secret projects, and now ethereals.
Yes. That sounds like you are on the right trail.
You're talking to the goblin in charge.
The nice thing about these
Noggenfogger's one of the good guys. There has to be a reason. He's in
the nice thing about these campaign quests is they all award Valor Stones, which are definitely super valuable when we're getting fired up here. We need 250 Valor Stones to just create a spark, which is good. And then we're going to need tons of Valor Stones to upgrade our equipment. Now we are going to get Valor Stone. We're going to just start spamming dungeons at a certain point because that's going to be where all of our upgrades can come from. And at that point, we will be getting Valor Stones at the end of every dungeon. But everything that we can get right now is going to be good.
You're visiting me. Maybe your dark fuse friends would like some drinks. I got just the thing. Grab them off the table and pass them around.
Oh, for crying out loud. He's not hit me. this.
Okay, what's going on? Check Venture's Kajamite mines. You'll find answers there.
Going.
Will you be safe here?
And if you are still just kind of like stuck trying to figure out what to do, like I would definitely just recommend running this campaign all the way to the end. It's going to give you that 597 gear that we had, which you can upgrade with just Valor Stones. I'd recommend holding on to them, but if you need to hit some breakpoints in order to get into LFR, just doing this campaign should get you close enough. Again, you want to keep your eyes out for different opportunities, those weekly quests, anything that has that sort of blue exclamation point or a blue question mark will really help you. Can be done usually daily or weekly.
Reminder to Venture employees, you skim anything off the top of those Kajamite shipments.
But this quest will give you, not only it'll give you some gear, but it'll also give you a pretty decent looking transmog from completing the whole thing. I think it's this one, so not too bad. Like I might be missing a quest here. But you had to do something with these guys. Oh, I need to equip the uniform. Oops. Equip the uniform. Dodge the hyenas. Well, there's no way you're attacking me, is there? God. Staging a bit of a coup here, trying to convince and confront the Venture Co. employees.
You better be working late. You better be working holidays. Slackers ain't getting promotions.
All right. Done here. Can't mount while disguised. I'll be darned. Where's my disguise? Which one is it? Oh, looks like it just fell off. I hate this car.
There you are. Don't break anything out like anyone would tell me.
Oh, it's lonely at the top.
I got you back. See you around. We need the foreman's punch card to get to the Kaja coast.
We could just pick his pocket. No pockets to pick.
Time to try the shiny new weapon.
There's our final dungeon.
My service award. Black blood weapons?
Boots. It's boot day. Yeah, so even that 603 item level, you'll get super close to 606 by the time you finish leveling up.
From
Or you finish the campaign here.
No idea why.
Back into Dire Mall for our last dungeon. This is a different version of Dire Mall. There is some skippability here, so what you want to do, you can skip the third boss, Imulfar. What you want to do is take down these crystals. Pretty positive. But you basically just want to run across over to this arch here. And the first boss is right down this hill. This big treant. And once you kill him, this door will open up. When you do complete that skip, he does summon the other treants. So as you can see here, they kind of like walked over after a little bit. But I think they do too much, a little bit of damage. And now we can go in through this door. And then sometimes people skip this, sometimes they don't. But yeah, you just walk around the corner. We're gonna go to Prince Tortheldrin. I think that at this point, it's pretty common that most people are skipping this. You just run all the way across here, jump down just like he did. And then he's just this mob that you talk to. Oh, did I do that? We did it. Leave the group here. That's going to be our last time walking quest. Or time walking dungeon. I'm just going to get on our go fast here. The mount that we just walked past, that big spider, mechanical spider looking thing. Is the 3K. Getting 3K Mythic Plus rating. Our goal here. Alright, so this is, it's not pivotal by any means. but we're really hoping for
Understand your frustration, Geora.
not a
but do
weapon,
not rush to
because we already have, or we're going to craft our weapon, our Mithrak weapon, and we already have our offhand. Honestly, in that case, nah, it doesn't matter. So not a weapon, preferably not a trinket. What we're hoping for is just a helmet, shoulders, chest piece, pants, maybe even gloves. Definitely not a belt. We don't want a belt. We'd be okay with a ring or a necklace. That's fine. It'd be an upgrade for right now. But that's what we're really hoping for. So we're going to click complete quests.
Returning to work.
Get the Hellcaller chart out of the way. And then we're going to open it. Reverb radio. That sucks. But could be worse. I think one thing that'll be really nice is that we'll be able to upgrade our trinkets. We'll have 2 hero slot trinkets. So if we get another trinket, we can upgrade it, but we're really just getting hero trinkets. But hey, it gives us a hero slot for right now. We already have a champ slot, so I really wish it was anything else. It is a haste trinket, so it's got agility baseline, and then your spells and abilities have a high chance of IP upgrading you haste up to 5 times. Upon reaching maximum hype, amp it up by 100% for 15 seconds before starting again. So just baseline, faster attack. That does mean we're going to walk over here, and we're just going to pick up the House of Cards. I don't know. The other top rogue has the improvised C4M Peacemaker and the Magnet. So it almost seems to me like the Magnet is probably the better one. Of course, it is an on use, which is a bit of a bitch. Sorry, bit of a pain in the butt. But we'll go ahead and we'll pick that one up, because that one seems to be pretty consistent, whereas we could use a Pacemaker, or we could use a House of Cards. House of Cards might be better for single target, but we'll just grab that. So we got some decent upgrades here. It's going to bring our item level up to 623, which is pretty good. We'll add this one to our bar. Was really, really hoping for a tier piece for sure. We're not looking pretty in the tier department. We did get this veteran chest piece, which we can catalyze. We did get some veteran legs, which we could catalyze. So theoretically, we could go ahead and use our radiant emblem on helmet or shoulders. We could catalyze that to get champion, veteran, and we could have our 4-piece. So that's definitely something that we'll consider next time. But what we're gonna do for now is stop, and then when we log back on later, we will do 2 things. Actually, we'll do 3 things. We will be completing 5 delves, which is going to award us from this pinnacle cache and a call to delves. So we'll get a 636 item and then the veteran piece from the pinnacle cache. We will do a +2 dungeon. We'll probably do that missing LFR boss. We'll finish the Liberation of Undermine campaign. That's going to get us a hero enchanted crest. So an enchanted rune crest, which means we can craft a 652 weapon, which we'll put in our main hand. We'll finally go and start enchanting our gear at that point. I think we'll have enough money. And we'll talk a little bit about professions when we do that. So, thanks for making it this far. I know this video was a long one, but I wanted to get a lot of stuff done. So today we talked about a bunch of stuff. We talked about classic time walking, the catalyst, the how to look at how you died. We talked about world bosses. We talked about how to copy talents from other top World of Warcraft players playing your spec or your class. We talked about how to see which group you're in during raid, what to do at that 606 item level breakpoint, Basic LFR boss strats. We talked about how many different boots we looted. And we talked about saving our gold so that we can craft, but things like bags are really good use because they're kind of one time. Trying to think if there's any other good uses for your gold, or if you should really just be saving it for crafted gear. Ultimately, it's your gold and you can do whatever you want with it. If you want to level up your professions, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Let's see here. We're gonna roll the dice one more time tonight. See what we get from the Godfather before we sign off. Till next time. It's like they're attacking it. They're all phased. Oh my god. This world boss stinks, by the way. They put you in this arena. Oh my god. And they surround you with tons of bombs. And then he does this huge knockback. It's going to kill us. We died. He does this huge knockback that throws you into bombs. It's a laggy mess. I hope they never do this again. Anyways, we'll do the sign off here as we kill the Godfather. We're just going to run back in. Tag him again. Thankfully, the graveyard's close. Thanks for watching. This is Yogurt with the ultimate new player guide for retail World of Warcraft. If this is your first time watching the series, there's 10 other episodes prior to this one, basically taking inspiration from Zizzarin's sort of let's play with PoE, and just trying to show some new players the fundamental basics from World of Warcraft. So we actually took this rogue. Oh god, we took this rogue from level 1 to level 80. We played through the Dragonflight campaign. We played through the War Within campaign. We're working through the Liberation of Undermine campaign. Our goal with this series, which is absolutely impossible, is going to be leveling a character, getting a character to 3,000 Mythic Plus rating, and ahead of the curve achievement before the start of season 3. It is currently July 26th, and start of season 3 is August 5th. So challenge level is extremely difficult. There's not a lot of time to reach that, but we're going to give it our best shot and just show players what the climb looks like from a pickup group perspective to get some Raider IO score, and to reach those numbers. So yet again, we killed the Godfather, but we didn't get the quest credit. We also got a plate chest champion level, so no luck there. Striking out again. We'll pick up where we left off next time. We'll get this campaign finished. We'll get into dungeons. We'll do delves. And then next weekend, we're going to make our big IO push. So we're just going to get as far as we can over that weekend before the weekly reset. So stay tuned. I'll be streaming a lot during that time. I'll be publishing a lot of videos. And then I'll also try and get a video out on the best way to gear up for season 3. Knowing what you know now about crests and valor stones, and we'll talk about the release schedule for the new raid and all that good stuff. So thanks again for watching.